What an insane week in the markets. We had sell-offs, we had massive bounces. It just absolutely wild. So what we're going to do, like we do absolutely every week, is calm down a little bit, take a step back, and look to see what happened this week, what we could expect to happen going on to next week. I will give a discretionary idea that I'm watching going into next week. As always, when it comes to what I'm doing on StatsEdge Pro, for StatsEdge Pro members that are watching this, I run all that, all the algorithms, millions of trades through different simulators on tonight, and then tomorrow I will put all that together and send that out to you guys. So if you're someone who wants to trade with a statistical edge, trade with back tests that you can kind of put your finger on and say, I know the probabilities. If I do this, this, and this, if that's something you're struggling with, you're kind of confused about, I don't really know what to do, I would suggest coming on over to StatsEdgeTrading.com. If you click on the StatsEdge Pro section, we have a breakdown of the 4 algorithms we're running. We can click on one of them. Let's pick the pullback algorithm here. And then we can see, right, a little video on me explaining it. You can see exactly what it did month by month, all the way back 25 years. So you get a good feel and a lot of data of what you can expect now. We're obviously always trying to beat these numbers by being a little clever, but this is kind of what we can see. So this will get run on the weekend, and I will give all of the StatsEdge Pro people the trades. If you're interested, you just sign up right here. So without further ado, let's start with Bitcoin. Uh, Kind of emblematic of what happened this week. We had this 3 massive day down in a row, but then if you look at today's bar, we sold off dramatically and a couple hours to the close, but it looks like we're closing at about even. So been saying it for a while. $100,000 on Bitcoin is not going to be easy. Everybody in the world was watching this $100,000 area. That's why I sold in the 90 up to 95,000 area. Most of my position, right? I've got my forever Bitcoin. Most of my position I'm out of, waiting for all of this to resolve. You know, hit me up when it's 110 or hit me up when it holds under 90. Either of those I think might be trading opportunities. Until then, I see this nonsense going on for longer. People are going to be unloading positions at 100K. People are going to be buying positions at 100K. It just, when there is complete indecision about what's going on in the market, you get this kind of craziness. Now, one thing that was interesting, note that Bitcoin is down a little bit today. We had Ethereum actually up a little bit. Right, so we're not talking crazy one way or another, but something to note, Ethereum has been the dog of the crypto space for a long time, still hasn't gotten to all-time highs, right, which are right up here. Maybe it ticked through it barely, but no all-time closing highs in Ethereum. We haven't had that breakout yet. So it's been a dog for a while. Little bit of relative strength today. 2 names that I think are interesting in this space is Ripple. Right, Ripple had this massive run from 50 cents up to $3 back when I was working at Trade Ideas, and I did a podcast there. My co-host Steve was talking about this. I haven't spoken to him about it. I hope he's still riding it and he's doing fantastic, but just consolidating here and actually holding pretty well. It's holding these prior lows right here, just consolidating nice. If we can get back above maybe 250 on Ripple, I don't know, maybe take a shot to 3. Who knows? ADA, USD, Cardano. This one's kind of interesting because I've been talking about these areas forever. And this is how I'm trading crypto right now. You take an anchored VWAP, you pop it at all-time highs. When you break through that, you get some trades. I've taken 2 trades on this. I still hold a little tiny bit, but I bought a little bit when it came in. It held this anchored VWAP. So on this bar right here, I bought some as it shot up 20-30%. I sold a little bit, came back down, held that again. As it was holding, I reloaded it and it popped up. And then we had this bar today, so I've got that little bit left that I've been kind of scalping in and out around. If we lose the low of this bar, it will be probably time to go. But just very interesting that if we can retake that, that'll be the 3rd time in a row it's bled below this anchored VWAP and held. So I'm watching this one today and a little bit tomorrow. If it holds that area, that's super interesting. Mana, which is something I've been watching for a while, fell pretty dramatically against the other coins. But I'm still watching this area. So you can see I have a little alert here. If we can get above this kind of 80, 85 cents on Mana, could be a clean shot to the anchored VWAP from all-time high to $1.70. And then above that, who knows? Who knows? So that's kind of the crypto wrap up. Again, just wait and see on a lot of things. If we go to the Dixie, the dollar index, you can see I was thinking that we may have a little bit of a pullback after we had this failed break. We did. I was expecting a little bit lower, but kind of acting as intended. And now it's closing above this area right here. So this, if you go out, this is, yeah, I drew this line here, right? Prior highs way back here, prior lows way back here. We've just been kind of consolidating sideways in this zone for some time. So we've broken that so far. We're holding in the dollar. Could be indicative for a stronger move, but if this fails, I've got a list of things that are interesting. So the first one will be the euro. So euro USD, potential double bottom here. So if this lifts, the dollar's probably falling. The yen is very interesting. Again, when we're up in this zone, I had one trade as we broke down here. That was a great trade on the yen. And now we're right back up there. And we have the Bank of Japan saying, guys, we are going to defend our currency in this level. I want to be with the side of the bank. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to fight a federal bank. So if this starts to fade, I'm going to look to take another shot. I think I'll probably just do a trend line. Just grab something like this from that low to like in there. And if we looks like we come down to here, maybe we bounce a bit and fade. That might be the shot you take on the yen. Same with the franc, USD, CHF. This zone right here, it kind of looks the same, right? Because I think it's more of the dollar than the other currencies that are doing things. It looks like we may be fading. If we fail a trend line here, maybe we could push down to these lows. I think that'd be a shot that is interesting to take. See me look over here, just because I've got all my notes of everything I want to talk to you guys about. Gold is kind of scary is not the right word because I don't have much of it left. I've had a great trade in it, but we were talking about buying this anchored VWAP from this flush low. We had a little bit of bounce from there. I sold a chunk when we were in these prior highs, and then we've fallen back, and now it looks like we're kind of trapped below this. So the little tiny bit I have left, I'll get out if this low right here gets lost. And I may actually look to short because if we challenge this anchored VWAP from the other side and we fail and start to push lower, might be a good shot to go on, good short on gold on this kind of 25,000 area. That's a big deal. And speaking of precious metals, right? Silver is just never able to get going. It's never able to kind of be strong above this $32, $33 area. So if gold falls, I'll probably look for a short on silver as well. Let's pop into the equity markets here and let's grab the S&P 500 and just talk about what happened this week. Nothing. Fed decision. And the market just tanked. Again, I'm not one to tell you what the Fed said, but whatever it was, the market didn't like it. We had another sell here. But what's interesting to note is we had this gap down and rip all today. So we gapped down, we rallied throughout the day, showing some really good strength when it comes to the S&P 500. So I don't know if that's going to mark a short-term low. I think the trade here is pretty easy. I'm just interested in this low right here, right? I'm interested in that zone. Let's actually draw it with this one here so I can be real precise, right? This low is very interesting to me. If we lose this low and we push lower, then we could maybe test down here or test down here. This looks like a big area to hold. If we hold this area, we start to drift higher, then maybe Santa Claus, who's supposed to come on Monday, maybe he comes into town, and who knows, maybe we hit all-time highs by the end of the year. That would rip the face off of every remaining bear that exists, I think. RSP is interesting. So for those who don't know, talk about this all the time. The S&P 500 is a cap-weighted index. So the largest names out there, your NVIDIAs, your Teslas, your Amazons, all the names you know, they make up the biggest part of it. So the S&P 500 is kind of a big cap type sector or big cap type ETF. RSP is the same 500 largest names in the US, but they all have equal weight. So the RSP gives us a good idea of what the average stock is doing as opposed to the big guys. And you can see it's been down way more in the long run. But if we just focus on this little crash, today it barely gapped down and then it ripped much higher. So stronger than the S&P 500. So showing the average stock today did very well, even if some of those big cap names couldn't quite keep up. KWEB continues to be interesting, something I continue to watch against this zone right here. If we can get going over this kind of 25.50. That's interesting to me because we have this massive move that we could fill. Just we had this huge spike and we've come down now. And every time we've come to this zone, we've had a little bit of bounce, like twice so far. So if we get that again, that's interesting for just the whole China trade. So grab your favorite China name. And if this area is going to hold and you want to take that bet, then that could be a very good trade. Oil and energy is kind of interesting here. So we have oil getting very, very tight. This is getting to the point where something must occur. You don't know what it is, but right, we can't continue to get this tight on oil. So I'm watching for a break in either direction. I don't care. But it's just getting to the point where it's just getting so tight that I think there'll be a trade one way or the other. Maybe there's an OPEC meeting or something coming up, and that will really get us going. But that's something that's interesting. XLE, which is our overall energy ETF, you can see complete free fall from 97 to $84. That's a big move just straight down for XLE. And we're at these prior lows right here. I think this could be a dollar trade, but I'm not too sure. Now, in this space, I want to take a look at UNG. Natural gas holding up very well. I've talked about this $15 area for natural gas. Full disclosure, pulled the trigger on a little bit of natty gas on the close here. This area, this zone right here, kind of 14-ish dollars, has been a big level going back all years. If you've been following me, we've been making some trades off it. They've been working. I'm taking another shot here. Stop's going to go below the low, right? So my risk is from here to here, and then my reward, hopefully, if I am right, could be much higher. Now, that's it. It's a crazy trader. It's not something I trade with any size, but I see an opportunity. So I'm going to take a shot against that particular opportunity. KRE and XLF both filled their gaps. And so if we go to KRE right here, which is our regional banks, our little guys, we can move that up. We had these prior highs back here. We filled that gap. We held that area. So that was the gap. This was the election gap. So election came through. People said this is great for banks. Had a little bit a nice rally, and now we are right back to where that was before. If we look at the same thing with XLF, same thing. These are our larger banks, right? Had a nice rally because of the election, has come all the way down and is right at that zone, defending that level. So very interesting for banks. Now, for my discretionary pick of the week, we have Jets. So you can see Jets relative strength. This is usually a dog of a sector. You generally don't want to be trading or buying uh, airline companies because they usually suck. They usually go down, they go bankrupt. This is crazy. But look at this insane rally from August onwards. Up. And then when we had the craziness here, we're actually up from that level that happened after FOMC on Jets. So ALK. ALK is a very interesting one. I talked about this on Trader TV this morning. We have closed above this prior high after we've had this gap. If we can hold on to this level and continue to grind and continue to push higher, then I think ALK is going to be a very interesting one going forward. So that's kind of my discretionary type pick. Now, for all of the 30 symbols that will shoot over at StatsEdge Pro, which did amazing this week, all things considered, we had some really good plays. NCVR, a lot of these we got at a better price than the actual trigger because things went crazy. The CL PT, right? I bought pretty much right here. A nice little move on that. All things considered, I'm very happy with what occurred here with a lot of these names where we had pullbacks. We had a nice snag on the pullback. We'll see what happens to the Monday, but uh, these pullback algorithms have been really great kind of engagement tools, while some of these trend following systems sometimes take a long time to really shoot out that money. So if you're interested, 30 symbols sent directly to you, all with back tests that you could go and look at right here and see exactly what would happen if you traded these symbols. You can just go click on them right on the website and see this is the mean reversion system, right? This is where it does well, this is where it does poorly. A video from me explaining each one. If you're interested at all, you can check that out over at StatsEdgeTrading.com, which will be the pinned comment, the link below, the chat below, my bio. Again, just go to StatsEdgeTrading.com. I thank you all for coming out. probably a light week when it comes to videos next week. I'll definitely try to put out something Monday, and then maybe the next video will be Friday just because of the holidays. So thank you all for coming by and checking this out. And until I talk to you guys next time, get away from the screens.